Ever wonder what really makes a farmer choose one tool over another? You might think it's all about the cost or maybe what gives the best crop yield, but what if one of the most powerful factors is something you can't even see? What if it all comes down to what they believe? Today, we're going to explore this incredible link between a farmer's view on climate change and, well, the future of the food on all of our plates.
And let me tell you, the stakes could not be higher. This study from Palash and their team puts it in no uncertain terms. This isn't some far-off abstract problem. It's a direct threat to our global food supply, and it's hitting the most vulnerable communities the hardest.
So to really get to the heart of this challenge, the researchers went to a place where the future of climate change is already happening right now. For the millions of farmers living along the coasts of Bangladesh, climate change isn't something they talk about, it's something they live with every single day. It's a daily battle. This is ground zero, a place that's uniquely vulnerable to our shifting climate.
And just look at what they're up against. It's a constant barrage. You've got rising seas pushing salt right into their farmland, which makes it almost impossible to grow anything. Cyclones are getting stronger and more frequent. And the weather? It's become a total guessing game, with these wild, unpredictable floods and droughts that can wipe out an entire season's work in an instant.
So here's what's so powerful about this study. The researchers didn't just sit in a lab looking at weather data. No, they went out and asked a really simple question. What are you, the farmers, actually seeing with your own two eyes?
And we're not talking about a small sample size here. This whole thing is built on in-depth interviews with 450 farming families. So this is, in theory, this is data that comes directly from the day-to-day experiences of people on the front lines.
And what they found? Well, it was pretty stark. A huge majority, we're talking 4 out of every 5 farmers, said they have personally felt it get hotter over the years.
And it's not just the heat. Almost the exact same number, 78%, said the rains have become totally erratic and unpredictable. Imagine trying to plan your planting season around that.
On top of all that, the changing climate is bringing some new enemies to the field. 60% of farmers are seeing more pests and diseases attacking their crops, a direct result of these new environmental conditions.
So when you put it all together, this is their reality. Their biggest worries aren't just vague fears, they are specific, tangible changes. Hotter temperatures, wild rain patterns, and sudden, heavy downpours. These are the top 3 things making their lives and their work so much harder.
Okay, so you hear all that, and you'd expect these farmers to be grabbing every new tool and technique available, right? Well, this is where the story takes a really surprising turn.
First, let's talk about these tools. They have a name. Good Agricultural Practices, or GAPS for short. Just think of them as a modern farming toolkit, a whole collection of sustainable methods designed to help farmers adapt, become more resilient, and protect their land for the long haul.
But here is the puzzle. Farmers are adopting some of these new practices. Take a look at the left side of your screen. Things like proper harvesting, using protective gear, really high adoption rates. But then, look over at the right. The practices that are absolutely crucial for long-term soil health, like using compost or adding nutrients back into the soil, almost nobody is doing them. The adoption rates are incredibly low.
And that leads us to the central question of this whole study. Why? Why this massive gap? With everything on the line, why are some of the most important tools for survival being left in the toolbox?
Well, the answer the researchers uncovered is both incredibly simple and honestly pretty profound, and it totally changes how we should be thinking about helping farmers everywhere.
It turns out the biggest barrier wasn't a lack of money. It wasn't even access to the technology itself. The key factor, the thing that determined whether a farmer would use these critical techniques, was their perception, how deeply they understood and truly believed in the threat of climate change.
The study really boiled it down to 4 key things that consistently predicted who would adopt these new practices: their level of education, any practical training they'd had, how often they talked to experts, and, the big one, their personal perception of climate change.
Let's just zoom in on one of those for a second. Communication. The data showed that the more a farmer talked with an agricultural expert, the more their odds of trying something new just shot up. They became 1.2 times more likely to use soil additives, 1.15 times more likely to use the right dosage of chemicals. It just goes to show you that information, and the trust that comes with it, are unbelievably powerful.
So what does this all mean? What's the big takeaway from these farms in Bangladesh for the rest of the world?
Well, it means that if we really want to change what happens on the ground, in the soil, we have to start inside the mind. Just handing over tools isn't enough. We have to build understanding, awareness, and belief first.
And that gives us a pretty clear roadmap for action, doesn't it? We need more than just money for new equipment. We need targeted training programs. We need to give farmers better access to clear, easy-to-understand climate info. We need to build up those local support services that can create real relationships and trust. And our policies have to be smart enough to address what farmers believe, not just what they own.
And all of this leaves us with a final, really powerful question to think about. This study gives us this incredible insight from the coast of Bangladesh, but it forces us to ask, if belief is this powerful on these farms, where else? In our own communities, in our industries, even in our governments, where else is perception the hidden key that could unlock real, meaningful climate action?